Rona, you have to unmute.
Today's topic, the last in the series of July on freedom. July is the month of independence. The spiritual perspective of freedom, spiritual perspective of independence is a bit different than generally we think about. But we were talking about this the whole month and exploring. But today, the topic has the special focus freedom as a way of being, the spirit of a traveler. In this world, if you think about someone who is free, someone who is not bound to anything or bound by anything. But to be a physical traveler all the time is not so practical. Well, there might be people who do that, but it is not so feasible for everyone to always be traveling, traveling, traveling. But we can have a traveling attitude towards life. We can have the traveler spirit to life. And maybe is that what we deep inside actually are looking for, and not so much to be physically on the move all the time. So let's take a few minutes and just to reflect on this traveler spirit, this traveler mindset. And we'll speak a few words and try to relax and try to just hear the words and understand, try and grasp the feeling. So we keep the body comfortable. And just bring all your attention in this present moment, here and now. And let the rhythm of your breath slow down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And be very aware, very conscious of the rhythm of your inhalation and exhalation. Now also be aware of the position of the body, how the back touches the back of the chair, how the feet are flat on the ground. And just be aware of the bodily sensations, the atmosphere in this room. Become aware of the rhythm of your heartbeat. And just as an observer, observe the body and the different sensations of the body. And if there are some sounds around, just observe. Not have any judgment about it. There may be some movement, there are others around. Just silently observe without creating thoughts or opinion or judgment, just like a silent witness. Become aware of the heartbeat, and how the heart pumps the blood to the different organs and extremities in the body. Become aware of the muscles of your face. And even if there is some sound around, don't be distracted. Just observe silently. And become aware now that there is this inner being, the one who is using the eyes to see and using the ears to hear. And that inner being is like a guest in the body, a guest on this planet. Invisible being of consciousness, the soul. Pure, free, timeless, living light. And as we gradually come to the end of this thought experiment, come again into sound and action. Hold this awareness of the self as a living light operating the body. Thank you. Is it easy? Is it easy to concentrate? To be carried away by the the suggested thoughts? Yes or no? I'm asking. Difficult or easy?
Much bigger than what Sky than what I
It is easier when it's guided. You can come here if you want to. I'll also use the board so it'll be easier to see. It's easier when it is guided than when you have to do it for yourself. Okay. Any other thoughts? No thoughts. Okay. That's good. To be distracted. Yeah. 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 So, one way to understand freedom in the spiritual context is that you are free to think what you want to think, that you are free to feel what you would want to feel. So, for example, you are choosing to have this thought experiment or maybe even deeper meditation, and somebody walking up and down there. Where are your thoughts? Are they there? Or do you stay with what you want to think? Focus on the meditation. To understand this concept of inner freedom. Because we usually tend to think of freedom as okay, I'm free to say what I want, to do what I want, and nobody can stop me. And to have possibilities available, to have certain privileges if I want to, at an external level, at a physical level. And of course, that is also some level of freedom. But you can maybe have all of that, but not be free in here. And you're harassed by your thoughts, you're distracted by anything and everything. So, this concept of inner freedom is closely related with self, what is it? Self mastery, inner independence. That you are the master of what you think, that you are the master of how you feel inside, that you are the master of what comes out of your mouth and also what goes in, both. That you're not, what is it, compulsively eating or putting things in the mouth, and that you're also not blurbing out what you actually don't want to say, or that later on maybe give some pain or hurt to self or to others or both. So, this understanding of freedom as a way of being is, what is it, is deeper, but it is also related to paying attention to yourself, but also giving value and acknowledging the power of your own thoughts and the power that you have over your own thoughts. And I'll go to the board and use some sketches to try and get this a bit more clear. And in between, if you have questions, feel free, no? Or comments to say, let it be. This is an interactive lecture series. So feel free to say. Just might, let us see. There are some people on Zoom also. So if you don't mind to move there so that your head is not on the camera. No, that's okay. Okay, Zoom can see now. Through technology, people from far away can also join. But we rejoice the people who are coming in person. Okay, so normally when we think of ourselves in terms of our physical form. I cannot draw very well. So I don't mean this as an insult to anyone. It's just I cannot, I don't have any skills of drawing, even though I like to draw and sketch. So usually when we think of ourselves in terms of our physical form and the things around us, no? The people around us, the possessions, our name, our nationality, our culture, our job, our education. We generally think of ourselves in terms of this. This is me. This is, what's her name? Susan. Susan. I am Susan, and this is my job, and these are my people, and I live here. This is my address. This is how we think of ourselves. And one specifically very important attribute these days. What is that? The cell phone. We don't see ourselves anymore without cell phone. Can't function or operate. So our identity is something like this, with job, of course, or education, or cultural background, language, nationality, your abilities and skills, maybe certain sports. And if all these external things are exactly how I want to, then I feel good. Then I feel peaceful, then I feel free. I can do what I want, I can be with whomever I want, and I can go wherever I want. We think we are free. Spirituality brings in a little deeper aspect to this. The word that we use is human being to indicate who we are. At least I hope. I'll say we are human beings. But it has two words, human and being. Now, the human is this, but the being is the being of consciousness. And we symbolize this with light. Consciousness or awareness, this symbol here symbolizes that being or spirit or soul. And just like the body has organs, the body has heart and lungs and intestines and liver, and it makes the body function. In the same way, there are organs or faculties of the being. And one is the faculty of the mind. Consciousness manifests itself through these different faculties, and one of them is the mind. And what happens in the mind is thoughts come up. All kinds of thoughts come up. You know how many thoughts you have in a day? A lot of thoughts. 50 years ago, they did a lot of research on this topic of thoughts and quality of thoughts. And at that time, they said we have 30,000 thoughts in a day. But that was before the cell phone and before Instagram and before much of internet. So I think easily we are now 60,000 thoughts a day. All of that happens in our mind. The function of consciousness is very active in us. Even when you sit and do nothing physically, this goes on and on and on and on. And on and on and on. Now, do you have 60,000 thoughts of peace in a day? No. So are we free at this level? Not really. And everything here can be okay. But if this is harassing me, then we still feel heavy. We still feel imprisoned. We still feel locked in. And if we cannot choose consciously our thoughts, even, then we are definitely not free. We are a slave to our thoughts and a slave to our emotions, even. Emotions can rule us, and we don't necessarily want that. So it is not only the amount of thoughts, it's also the speed of those thoughts. And it is also the content of those thoughts. What kinds of thoughts are going on in the mind? And your thoughts are connected with what you feel. Your thoughts are connected with your mood. If the whole day you are having thoughts of what? Complaints and what is it? Hatred for some colleague, maybe at work. Whole day, I don't like this person, why this person this, and why this person that, and this goes on in your mind all day. How do you feel? So, what you think is connected with the feelings and the mood in your mind and your overall sense of, yeah, feeling or mood. If you have the whole day thoughts of someone you like, of someone you appreciate, someone you respect, you feel very different. If you have the whole day thoughts of a peaceful place, you feel accordingly. So your thoughts and your thought patterns are connected with how you feel inside. Now, if the whole day you think about the what is it, the dog of your neighbor that is always making noise and how you could strangle that, then you're as if harassing yourself. You're mortifying yourself by creating these thoughts. And often we are not free at this level. Often we don't have power to steer our thoughts in a direction that is more useful. And that exercise, that meditation exercise that we just did was just a simple example of how our thoughts can be, what is it, distracting us from where we want to focus. Now, what kinds of thoughts do we have? If you look at your day today and you say, okay, let's say 30,000 thoughts you had. What categories were those thoughts? Positive, can you see that? Where you had positive thoughts, where you had negative thoughts? Yeah. Today, if you look back from this morning to now. Positive thoughts. Very good. Yeah. And at work, negative, and on the way here, positive thoughts. No, this is very useful to begin to observe what is going on inside, because many of us, we are not even aware of what is going on inside. And we just feel the way we feel, and we just think the way we think, and just go about it, and as if it just happens to us. But if you begin to observe what kinds of thoughts I have, that is like the first step in gaining back, what is the word, control, and not in a rigid way, but you becoming again, to become master again of your inner world, your inner kingdom. First, you have to be aware what is going on there. Now, one area of thoughts that you will also notice if you begin to observe this is repetitive thoughts. The same thought over and over. And they can be negative, they can also be completely useless. Whatever. Why did the neighbor buy a new television set? who cares? It's none of my business in the first place. But we can have these type of thoughts. Or why did my aunt say this to my cousin? It's none of my business also. But we can have these repetitive thoughts. You think about it over and over and over. Why didn't they say hello to me this morning? Why didn't they say hello to me? Doesn't change anything, just mortifies me. So these repetitive thoughts are something that you have to do. You remind yourself 40 times you have to do it, and then still you forget. It happens in New York. So this is a sign of an lack of inner freedom. And yeah, so-
You were talking about a connection of how, like, if your thoughts are
Hey,
positive.
can you get the mic so that Zoom can also hear?
My question is, like your connection between how your energy is and like what you feel and your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I guess why is that? Like, why is it that like, okay, like I've noticed recently, like I'm bringing home like tired energy, like negative energy, not because I'm physically tired, but because at work I feel more like drained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and emotionally drained. And so like that's
Yeah.
something I'm like, okay, I need to either change my energy when I get home or figure out how I don't need to be so
Yeah.
drained coming back.
Yeah.
But I think that connection of why it actually does that to me.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Could you speak
Yeah.
more to that?
Yeah. Anyway, the connection is there. Not how you think, and if you have lots of negative thoughts, it drains and it creates that negative vibe. It creates that negative energy. That is something we cannot change, but we can change how we nurture ourselves. We can change consciously what type of thoughts to cultivate. And that also has a connection then with how you feel and the energy you create and the vibe that you create in your own mind, but also around you. And we live in a society worldwide, I believe at the moment, where we don't have habits and tendencies and activities where we nurture ourselves positively, consistently, and consciously. And the whole entertainment industry at the moment is not very positive also. So whatever free time we do have, we spend on devices or on activities that even further brings in draining emotions and up and down. Yes, some is a little bit comedy, but then there's also violence and deception and what is it, hatred and arrogance and lust and all. It is. Sometimes I wonder. People say they watch television to relax. I think it is more draining to watch these things. And you understand what I mean? So even the things that we do to relax do not necessarily relax us. Yeah. And to find for yourself things that nurture you in a positive way so that you can at least counterbalance the challenging situations that we all face every day.
How do you stop repetitive negative thoughts,
Yeah.
the same thing going round and round, or your
Yeah.
mind going back to it
Yeah.
all of the time?
Yeah. Yeah. There are two things. No, one is a more structural, long-term practice, but at least we can train our mind at the moment to first of all notice and to say time out and distract your mind into something more positive. Or just simple what we were doing, some awareness exercises. Become aware of the rhythm of your breath. Shift your attention to something simple. And tell yourself these repetitive thoughts are useless for me. It doesn't change anything. Let me think of something more constructive or focus, at least for this moment, on that. Sometimes, if it is really harassing, it is good to do some physical exercise, jogging or swimming, and that shifts the mind if it is really very overwhelming. But to train ourselves, to catch yourself, this is a useless thought, and shift it into something more constructive. And more we do that consistently, the mind becomes trained in that. But we have let our mind run loose for a very long time. And the way we use, what is the word, the internet? We are bombarding our mind with all kinds of information. And much of that information is also not very useful. Much of that information is also useless. So we as if have programmed our mind to digest useless information and useless thinking. So with love, with care, teach your mind again. These are not thoughts that are useful. And begin with simple, basic, themes. Because the negative and the destructive thoughts come because we had a lot of waste thoughts for a long time. Lots of useless thoughts for a long time, lots of repetitive thoughts. So our mind and our discerning power has become weak. And so these thoughts are like automatic in our mind. And you have to I did not say, there is another faculty in our consciousness, which is called the intellect. And the intellect is our wisdom. The intellect is our discerning power. The intellect is the power with which we make decisions. But we haven't used our intellect for our mind. We have used our intellect for decisions at this level, often. Choices, what to eat, what not to eat, where to go, where not to go. But we haven't used our intellect to discern our thoughts. And so this is a process to start again. With simple observation exercise. Tomorrow, during the day, just check what kind of thoughts am I having? And is this a useful thought or a useless thought? And more I do that, more I shift from useless to useful thoughts. Less I will get into repetitive thoughts, less I will get into destructive thoughts. And I gain back as if the rule of my inner kingdom, my mind. And we can distract ourselves. That also shifts sometimes the thinking. But ultimately, the aim is to get back the power to choose what I think. And we just have to exercise that, not even that right, that power that you have. We haven't exercised it. We haven't used our discerning power of our thoughts. No, nobody ever taught us how to think. We learn many things, how to brush your teeth and how to dress and how to comb your hair and how to say ABC and how to count. But nobody taught us how to think and what is useful to think and what is not useful to think. And not because anybody is bad, that's just the way society is at the moment. So we have to kind of teach ourselves. And exhaustion at least mental exhaustion, because most of us don't do much physical hard work. We don't plow the land or so 12 hours a day, at least not in New York City. Most of the exhaustion we feel, much of it is mental exhaustion. And that is because of lots of waste thinking, useless thinking, or if it is focused, concentrated thinking because of the job, then it is because there is not enough balance with thoughts that empower you internally. And we don't do that. This is one of the reasons why I meditate every day. This is one of the reasons why I study spiritual wisdom every day, because I feel it nurtures that powerful, beautiful part in me.
When you say that you meditate every day,
Yeah.
how, if someone like myself who's never meditated before, how could you start doing that?
Okay, well, for me, it took me a while to learn to meditate. And meditation also is a big word, and there are many forms of meditation. What I did is I learned this specific meditation, which is called Raj Yoga meditation. And it is a meditation form that teaches you how to be master of your inner world. Raja means king, to become king again. And the essence of that is you train yourself to guide your thoughts into a spiritual experience. And the spiritual experience means you begin to experience yourself not as a body, but as a being of consciousness, as light. And it is not something that happens overnight. There is a course that you follow, and there are certain practices. But you can start with just simple relaxation exercises without going into that further, deeper meditation. Just begin to learn to relax your body, observe the rhythms of the body, the heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath, and bring your attention in this moment. Not what happened this morning, what I will do later, what have I eaten. Just bring them in this moment. Create awareness of this present moment. And feel yourself as a being that is operating this body. A being of light, the being of consciousness. The one who is using the eyes to see. The one who is making this hand move. These ideas do not belong to this mouth. The mouth speaks them, but the ideas belong to the being. And that being is I. And to begin to realize that you are that invisible being of consciousness using the body and playing this game of human life. And to just reflect on those type of thoughts for 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day. And if you want to take it a step further, then you can always do a course and learn more deeper. But to just shift your attention away from all these mundane, everyday, whatever going on, in the present moment, become aware of the body and the bodily sensations, breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, and aware of the one who is operating all of that. And use in your mind the image of light, a being of light, being of consciousness, invisible, transcending the limitations of the body. And if you do that every day, that in itself is a training for the mind to guide your thoughts. And then during the day, just observe what kinds of thoughts am I having, and are these useful thoughts? Because your thoughts are part of your mental energy. Now, if you do the whole day this, what will happen? You will get tired doing nothing, hitting the air, useless movements, but you will get tired. Same your mental energy. Useless thoughts, useless thoughts, useless thoughts. It makes you exhausted. Now, and one very powerful thought or perspective on self that is very freeing is to see yourself as a traveler, to understand yourself. But self doesn't mean this. Self means the being of consciousness, the soul. Traveler, a traveler through time, a traveler through space, an observer, a witness. And the attitude of a traveler, what is the attitude of a traveler? What is the speciality of a traveler?
Carefree.
They stay free. Say you're traveling through the US. You're going from Miami to Tampa to to Alabama, and then you're coming to New York, and you're going to Boston and Chicago. No, so when you're in Miami, you enjoy Miami. You enjoy Miami Beach, you enjoy the climate there, the people there, the spaciousness. Then when you go to Tampa, that is the other side of, you enjoy the scenery there. But you're not, in Tampa, you're not expecting to find Miami. Different scenery, different people. You're coming to New York, you're not expecting Tampa Bay in New York. New York, you have buildings, hardly any greenery, noise all over the place. It's a beautiful Central Park, yes, but still traffic noise all over the place. High rise and the Statue of Liberty and Broadway and shows, different. You don't come to New York expecting Miami. But also, you come to New York, you don't say, this is my Statue of Liberty. This is my Broadway. You have the attitude of a visitor. You enjoy, you appreciate, you see the beauty, you learn, you interact, you may be involved in things, but nothing is mine. And you also know you will move on. Next week will be Chicago or Boston or whatever. So if we have this traveler attitude of life and see every scene as something new, new scenery, new interaction. Nothing is mine. Who enjoy New York City most? The tourists. We complain about everything. The tourists find it funny. When they do construction on the road, there's huge holes. The Japanese tourists filming, putting it on their WeChat, sending these people, look what happening in New York. And we complaining, look at this. So this traveler attitude, internally you are free. As a visitor, every scene is a gift, extra gift. And when it's gone, another scene is there, and another scene is there. Internally, you don't get hooked on it. You're not expecting, you don't want to carry it. No, something new, something fresh. Dog next door barking. Interesting. Other scene at work, there's no dog, there are colleagues. Other scenery, they're gossiping or whatever they're doing, different scenery. But that inner freedom that comes with a traveler mindset. And we can get so heavy and stuck in the different scene of lives. the different scenes of life. And with demands and expectations and needs, and it should be and it should not be, we just make our own life miserable. Because it will be how it is anyway. But if you approach it with this mindset of extra, it's extra scenery. We're guests here, and you approach it, and then every interaction becomes a gift. Every exchange is a gift. You know, we meet so many people, even though we don't exchange, but you meet through eyes, you meet through expression. It's a gift. There are people in this world, nobody ever talks to them. There are people in this world, nobody ever visits them. Every interaction is a gift. And the traveler mindset, internally, it makes you free. And you have this bit like adventurous spirit towards every scene of life. What new adventure today at work? What will happen opening the computer? Something new will happen. Something different. Every moment. You want to say anything? But it starts here, paying attention here, nurturing your wisdom, nurturing your perspective on life, nurturing your discerning power, and observing your mind and shifting the thoughts from what is useless to what is useful. And of course, that will then manifest at this level also. Behavior ultimately will be different. Choices here might shift also. The freedom of a traveler. You like that? And the traveler travels light. You don't carry the. One time, I was traveling. I was living in the Caribbean, and I was traveling with one elderly, with a group actually. We were 5, but one of them was 80 something. The lady was 82 or so. And I was the youngest one at that time. And we were traveling from the Caribbean to London, Holland, London, and India. And the elderly lady had 2 huge suitcases, plus her trolley. So who has to carry that? So I kept helping her with these huge suitcases all over the place, Holland and London, and some places we had to take the subway, and then to India on the bus. It was such a thing. Anyway, after I don't remember 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, we came back to Curacao, and when we arrived there, she told me, she tells me, I did not need even half of the first suitcase. You know, carrying all these suitcases all over the place and you don't even use. But it taught me a very important lesson, because we stuff our mind with so many useless things and we carry it all over the place. Of course, we feel tired. Of course, we feel sluggish. Of course, you know, our mind becomes blunt and what is the word? Foggy. And what is this thing? Cloudy. Brain fog. Brain fog. And we become irritative and lack of concentration, because we carry these used suitcases all over the place and useless imagery that we carry, memories, many beautiful memories also, but many useless memories also. We keep thinking. Not very effective. Now, the only disadvantage of all of this is, and maybe it is also an advantage, nobody can change this for you, but you. It is on one hand is an advantage because it means it's up to me. But in our fast, quick fix society, we would like to take a pill to fix it. But that is not the case. It's up to us. They can't pass legislation for this to change it. This is up to each individual to do. Choice is ours. You want to say anything? Ask anything? But it's a very, I feel, no, it's a very nice and freeing perspective. Is one thing is all the things happening, but the real self is this invisible being of consciousness, a traveler through time and space, and his body is our vehicle. If you look at life like that, and your own life like that, things change, and your feelings change. You know, one time there was this mother, she came with her two children for a meditation course. Not in this center, it was another center, and at that center had an area with toys for children. So the children go and play with the toys, and the mother takes the meditation course. So these children come from two boys, one of 6 and one of 4. And so there is a big truck, toy truck. So the big one runs and he says, my truck, I want this truck, my truck. And he says, my truck. And the mother says, it's not your truck. You can play with it, but it's not yours. And he begins to cry. I want this truck, my truck, I want the truck. So he goes sit in the corner holding on to the truck, wants the truck. And his little brother finds some small cars and some trains, and he plays. So 1 hour passes. The big one sulking with the truck in the corner, my truck. And if his brother wants to touch the truck, he begins to cry louder even, my truck. And the little one is happy playing. 1 hour passes, course finishes, so they have to go home. Little one is happy, had a great time. 1 hour playing with all kinds of toys. Big one fighting with his mother, wants the truck, my truck. It's a whole fight to just get him to get the truck. Leave the truck there. And on the way home, he's still fighting with his mother. No good mother, you don't love me. All kinds of things. And the little one jumping happy. So one had 1 hour good time, the other one 1 hour misery. And misery goes on afterwards. So we are adults. Are we very different than these two? Just our toys are different. So reflect on this and play with this maybe. Inner being, the real self, is a traveler. Observe internally what happens. And you do it while you take time every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but also during your life and during your day's activities. Just observe the quality of your thoughts and shift them. Let's take a minute now and just come back to this awareness of the self as light, a being that operates the body. Pure, timeless, free, living light. And just become aware of the self as this thinking, conscious being who is operating this body. Body is a precious vehicle. And just reflect on this. The real self is light. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Just for those who are not aware, we have every Thursday these type of thoughts. On the desk, you can find the program of August. We are sometimes have mini retreats. And in August, we do have the meditation course, but it is by appointment. We don't have a fixed date scheduled this month. So if you are interested, just during the day, call and say, I have interest in a course. What is the possibilities?